Today's adventure brings us to Eureka Springs and Mitchell's Follies Gallery. And it's amazing. When you come to Eureka, you must come here. However, I want to introduce the fabulous Sara Harrison. I would like to introduce the fabulous Sara Harrison, and I'd like to tell you something about your painting because Matt, our curator, took it all apart for you. But the way it was that somebody used a spray mount, and if he pulled that off, it would have ruined it.
Oh, wow.
But it's been cleaned and taken apart, and it's all back together.
Awesome.
I know.
That's incredible.
So now you can display it proudly.
Yeah.
And he's photographed it for me. So now it'll be on the website and part of the Rediscovered Art. Anyway, hello everybody. So every week I have people ask me, how do I make a decision on what Rediscovered Art will be presented? And it's usually a lot of magic because I remember when we did the show at the Medium, and it was the first time his artwork had been seen in a group show in over 16 years.
Yeah.
And I just happened to walk in, and there you were. And then we were talking, and you talked to me about this painting I've never seen.
Yeah, called The Due Date.
The Due Date.
And, James, he just never got around to getting a copy of it made. And he had talked about it a long time ago. Julie, can't think of her last name right now. She was going to open a midwifery center, and she was looking for things of this subject and wanted to get a copy of it made, and it never happened. And yeah, so it was just kind of like this lost treasure,
Right. Well, 20 years later, I can see if I can hook her up.
Yeah. I don't know if she went down that path.
Right. Well, I want to ask you why it's called Due Date. And did he name it Due Date?
James named it Due Date.
Okay.
James, I had talked to him throughout my pregnancy about wanting to get a painting done, and he agreed to it. And, it was a big deal for me, just being like a young, expecting mother and trying to save money, and also this big purchase of a, painting. But I thought it was like such a treasure too. He agreed upon the price, and $1,500, 24 years ago, it was a lot of money. I mean, it was like everything just to survive through the winters and having a baby. And so I felt like real lucky that he agreed upon that. And I think he did that as like, a favor. And maybe I was helping him get by a little bit too.
Yeah, I think you were.
But yeah, he actually took the pictures on my due date.
I forgot to bring you the pictures. Well, that means I get to see you again.
Yeah.
I always ask because I have a little traffic going by. I am going to interview Kara about the water nymph on Monday. I'm really excited. And so I'm meeting people that are models, and you're a little bit different because this is a commission. I always wonder, does he, he's putting his spin on it. Does he give you instruction?
We did not talk about any kind of concept or idea. And whenever I went to pick it up, I'd never seen it. And I had seen all of his fantasy sci-fi stuff that was so cool. So I really didn't know what to expect. Right. And I was surprised that I wasn't smiling. And, James, he said, I always smile. And he thought this was a time to look inward and think about, just like it was more intimate.
Right.
And that was what he saw the painting and what he wanted to portray.
I love it that he did ask you to not smile. This is a big moment.
Oh, he didn't even. We just took the pictures. It was like, I stopped by his studio, was at next to the library,
right,
in the annex building there.
Yeah.
And life was so quick. I was, I was due that day. She didn't come for another 2 weeks, but I had really wanted the painting, and I stopped by that day, took the pictures. We never really talked about it again. And then I had a baby, the painting's there. It wasn't and then I went to go and pick it up, and it was all him. And I just told him do whatever, and here.
So when you look at you now in this painting, how does it make you feel? Are you glad you did it?
Oh, it's definitely one of my most treasured things to own. I mean, it's my, yeah.
It's so beautiful, and again, that's what I want to convey, because I have I have 7 interviews lined up, and
That's so much, yeah.
they come magically. I mean, little clues like, I'll see the magic of just happen to run into you in Springdale,
You're
Arkansas,
right.
and that you give me that clue. And I wasn't ready to start this Into the Legacy project. The first year was, just I needed to get a website, and this amazing Leanne Kendrick magically appeared that he would have been proud of it.
Oh yeah.
Then I stumble on to this incredible woman at the Medium, and Cynthia, and it worked out where a show was offered. And so that was a lot that first year. But then the second year I was ready for this. And so Melanie, my cohort, every week, whatever clue pops up, we follow that clue. So, as daunting as this project could be, starting over, after he died, it's so rewarding. It's so joyful. It keeps adding more people
Yeah.
to my life. But it's not just finding his paintings, it's finding these stories.
It's like he has this little sprinkling on everything. And he was such a character.
Well, that's a question. How did he come on your radar? I mean, when did you first realize James Yale lived in, well, or he was in Eureka Springs?
I worked at the Eureka Grill, and he would sit on the Group W bench. I think that my good friend Tara Ross, her parents were friends with him and his, you know, children and previous wife, and we did have a connection, and we would talk. It wasn't just over a beer at Chelsea's,
Right.
but it was there too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know why I chose him either. It's so interesting. My mom is so in the arts world, doing benefits growing up.
Right.
One of my first paintings I bought was at a benefit at Center Street. And I guess I've just had a love for art, and people get like the plaster belly cast or whatnot, and I just thought I wanted a painting.
No.
And it takes me right back to that time. That's like the treasure of it,
Yeah.
like, because it's just like, wow, like I just remember like the whole thing, like just like right there.
Yeah. I remember when I moved here, it's actually this March, might as well say it's March now. It'll be 24 years, and I knew no one here. I just thought, well, I've got some skills, so I hear it's an artist town. I think I can probably figure out something. And then I remember closing the door on my house thinking, I wonder where the real people live here. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't, my work is I work doing revitalization with communities. And so I'm thinking it takes a long time, to get to meet you all. And
Yeah.
and so I became an undercover waitress for about a year. I was
best.
watching you all. It's like, okay, who do I want in my foxhole? Who do I want in my foxhole? And I was working at this one restaurant that was over on White Street, and your mom came in, and she was the mayor at the time, and she was constantly on the phone, just being a mayor, and your brother was with her, and I remember thinking, I'm ready to meet her. And I felt like when I was going to hand her the check, I was going through the radar of all the cross signals of her cell phone, pop up and hand her her check. And I just said, Mayor Harrison, I would really like to show you my portfolio. And she said, I'm available tomorrow. Yeah. And then the rest is history. But
that's awesome.
It came from not knowing anybody. And so I think about you as a child growing up in this town, because there's so many characters. I mean, so many characters.
So many.
Do you need to lie down and have a psychiatric moment?
That's funny.
Because I mean, James is kind of one of those people you see at a distance and you're thinking, who is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I just was so intrigued, his pipe, just great story always. Like he always had something interesting to say. He was such a funny guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about these stories with people. I always think I wish I could be the dragonfly on the pond,
Uh-huh.
and go back in time and hear these stories because he had a really good friend here, Nancy Garcia, and there was a place called the Hi Hat. Were
Hmm.
you alive?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You shouldn't have gone in there. Well,
Well, no,
anyway,
I was a kid on
yeah,
the
you're a
bar
kid.
stool, definitely.
Well, anyway, this is where the Nancy Drewing comes in with that, is that there's clues he's left. Like he did these photos of Nancy's granddaughters called the Fairy Sisters. And so when I'm going through his papers, I get clues to all of you. And he must have printed off something from a Facebook thing. It says the Fairy Sisters at 30 years old.
Oh.
And so finally, now that I have the time, to, you know, Nancy drew all of this,
Yeah.
I have become really close with Nancy's daughter,
Oh, fun.
and she tells just great stories of, being a kid, and she felt like, what is this magical place?
Yeah, I think Eureka does that to a lot of people,
Yeah,
definitely.
it does.
And those times, like when the hi hat was around and everybody was down there, they're just great stories and everybody looking out for everybody.
Yeah. Wow. I love your family. I just, so I thank my lucky stars, because not knowing anybody
Yeah.
in Eureka at all,
Right.
I caught myself a husband.
And we all love you. I'm like, are you going to come back and be mayor, please? We need a
No.
change. Yeah,
No.
no.
No, but
Too
I'm
smart for that.
yeah, no, but that's the whole point. I got to know the real people, and you guys will always be my family.
Yeah, you're incredible.
Well,
I love that
I
you're
know you
doing
are, but what
this.
am I? Well, anyway, I hope you love that Matt went through this and cleaned it all up. He can't get that wrinkle out of it, but I am so honored to add this to the James Yale legacy.
Yeah, me too. I'm so happy that it got included. Like I said, it was one of those things that we had talked about it, and it's driving me crazy. Julie Edwards. She dated Big Al for a long time, and they used to sail around town.
Okay.
They had sailboats, went to Key West, and she was doing midwifery and was gonna have like a women's center. And then they had talked about that, getting photographs of all of his work, and she specifically wanted to get a copy, and hang it. And it just never happened.
Well, I think, at some point, I think in year 3, we were talking to Calvin, and we would start like to make prints of some of these.
Yeah, anytime.
So it'll be logged in, to the website.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, that your daughter would be running around on my patio.
Isis used to come down. I worked downtown, and I would bring my daughter to work with me, and she would go down the street and have breakfast at the Oasis. And she started taking art classes with Carol Peacock, who's like another wonderful local artist.
Right.
And she would do paintings, and she wanted to do Charlotte. And so we have a painting of Charlotte at the Oasis that she did. It's so funny. It's an oil painting, like with Carol Peacock. She was 5, I think, or 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charlotte carrying her eggs in.
Oh my gosh, I would love to see that. I do find
had flip flops with things on them,
Yeah, I love my flip flops. I make cowgirl boots and flip flops. That's why I've had to have knee surgery. Anyway, but I treasure all the children's drawings I have. I found one of the outdoor cinema someone made, and
That's
it's just
great.
amazing. Lost your daughter's name.
Isis.
Isis, duh, stupid.
And then
Oh, wait a minute.
Atlas. Hey, Atlas.
Here, hold on. What is it? Isis?
I saw those. I was like, oh, that's such a fabulous earring.
How could I ever forget that? What is?
Hey.
Hi there. What's Isis doing these days?
She is property manager of a resort that's over by the Kings River. These people bought it, and they're kind of remodeling each cabin, and so she's like their local liaison.
I love that.
For that. Yeah. So,
do you want to explain to him
who's in my belly? Do you know who that is? Who?
my baby.
That's me. That's Jar Jar. He calls me Jar Jar. Is that your Jar Jar? With a baby in the belly? Is your mama is in my belly.
Yeah.
That was when she was a baby inside my belly. Just like you were a baby inside her belly, weren't you? Pretty cool.
So 24 years later, here you are.
Here we are.
Yeah. You all, thank you for taking the time to
Aw,
do this
thank
with
you.
us.